Mr. Shearer did state, though, that there are other examples and matters that have come before the Board of Commissioners and before the Planning Commission where there are sometimes a personal conflict of interest that arises. And he discussed with me the disclosure of those conflicts of interest in instances where members of the Planning Commission had recused themselves from voting on a particular matter. Mr. Shearer could provide me with no specific examples of when Mayor Elam's employment had influenced her duties as mayor. He stated that her conflict of interest was theoretical. He stated that he can think of no specific factual instances to support the allegations in paragraph 3A and 3B of the complaint. He could think of no instances when it had proved impossible for Mayor Elam to separate herself from the interests of commercial realty services. He just stated that there was a potential for such a conflict. Bobby Franklin indicated that the mayor's telephone call to him in September of 2006 was the primary example in his mind of how her employment by CRS has inhibited her duties as mayor. He stated that he thinks that current discussions regarding the amendment of the sign ordinance are implicated in the mayor's role as a voting member of this board. He stated that in his job as the planning director for the city, that he cannot also be a real estate agent. And he stated that his boss, Rob Shearer, would not let him develop property inside Mt.Juliet's growth area, and he felt that the same types of restrictions should be applied to Mayor Elam. Mayor Elam stated that her philosophy has not changed regarding planning and development since she became employed by CRS. She stated that a great deal of development took place when she was the chairperson of the Planning Commission, and she stated that that positive growth could not have occurred if she had been an anti-growth, anti-development leader. Mayor Elam stated that the criteria that she used in planning and development matters was to always require developers to build projects that benefit the city and that are good for the city and are good for its citizens, and it's the type of development that will enhance the community. Mayor Elam stated that she consulted with the city's prior city attorney, Leslie Newman, when she accepted employment by Commercial Realty Services and asked for guidance from Ms. Newman, and was told that her employment was not prohibited and was, in Ms. Newman's experience, very common for part-time commissioners and mayors to work within the city where they were elected. Mayor Elam stated that the city attorney advised her that if an item concerning that development came before this board, that Mayor Elam would need to read a disclaimer statement, and then it would be Mayor Elam's decision whether to recuse or not to recuse herself from the vote concerning CRS matters. I have reviewed the specific ethics ordinance that Mt.Juliet passed with respect to votes taken by members of the Board of Commissioners. I've reviewed these facts and these statements. There is a perceived conflict here, but it is theoretical, as Mr. Shearer stated. There have only been two specific instances where the mayor's employment by CRS was implicated in her dealings as mayor. One was in late March and late April, when this board considered the annexing and rezoning of CRS property, and Mayor Elam disclosed at the very beginning of that agenda item, as she's required to under the ethics ordinance, that she had a personal interest. The ethics ordinance provides that disclosure must be made, and that then the voting official has the authority to decide whether they want to recuse themselves from the vote or not. In the first consideration of that matter, the mayor did not recuse herself, but in the second she did. The decision to recuse under the ethics ordinance is optional. The other instance in which the mayor's employment came into interplay with her role as mayor was in the telephone call that she made to Bobby Franklin last September regarding the engineering technical requirement that we discussed in the very first paragraph of this complaint. That telephone call was placed by the mayor after she became employed by CRS, but she did not disclose to Bobby Franklin that she was employed by CRS. But the mayor's actions did not violate the ethics ordinance because the ethics ordinance was not in effect when that telephone call was made. So, based on this analysis, I've concluded that there was no violation of the ethics ordinance because the mayor complied in the instances where she was required to make a disclosure. She did so, and her decision to recuse herself from the vote was optional. That is my report.
Need a break. I do.
5-minute recess.
I need a break.
Everyone okay with 5-minute recess?